December 20th. Dad, Christmas Eve will be family only this year. Keeping it intimate. See you all at 6 p.m. I stared at the message from my London office overlooking the Thames. My assistant called again about your New Year's honors ceremony. They need final confirmation by tomorrow. Tell them I'll attend. January 2nd works perfectly. According to my family, I'd wasted my life on charity work abroad, instead of joining the family's car dealership in Manchester. For 18 years, I'd run the International Medical Relief Coalition, providing emergency surgical care in conflict zones across 4 continents. My family thought I was a perpetual volunteer living off donations. They had no idea that 3 months ago, I'd been nominated for a knighthood for services to international humanitarian medicine, Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire. I scrolled through the family chat. My brother James responded, "Perfect, Dad." My sister Charlotte added heart emojis. My cousin Richard, whom I'd met twice in my life, replied, "Wouldn't miss it." I typed, "I'm still in London. Not sure I can make it back." The response was immediate. "Dad, we understand. Your work is important." Charlotte, "We'll miss you, but family understands red heart. No one tried to convince me to come. No one offered to delay by a day." I set down my phone and returned to reviewing surgical reports from our Syria operation. 300 successful procedures in 6 months. A mobile hospital that had saved over 1,000 lives. But to my family it was just charity work. Christmas Eve arrived. I spent the morning in a video conference with our Yemen team. Around noon the family group chat exploded with photos. My parents' house decorated with lights. James's kids opening presents. Charlotte toasting champagne. Cousin Richard, Aunt Margaret, Uncle Tom, second cousins I'd never met, all gathered in the living room where I'd grown up. Family only apparently meant everyone except me. James posted a photo of the dinner table, 23 place settings. I zoomed in. My name wasn't there. At 8 p.m. my mother called. "Alexander, darling, how are you?" "I'm well, Mum." "Enjoying your party?" "Oh, it's lovely. Everyone's here." "Well, almost everyone. We do miss you." I counted 23 people in the photos. "Yes, well, extended family. We haven't all been together in years. I haven't been home in 2 years." Pause. "Your work keeps you so busy. Your father was saying how dedicated you are. Living on volunteer salaries, spending time in those dangerous places. It's very noble." "Mum, I don't live on a volunteer's salary. Anyway, we should let you go. Merry Christmas, darling." She hung up before I could respond. I sat in my Kensington flat and opened my laptop. The email from Buckingham: "We are pleased to confirm your investiture ceremony for Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire, KB, will take place on January 2nd at 10 a.m. You may invite 2 guests. The official announcement will be published December 30th. Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. Knight Commander. For 18 years of humanitarian medical work, I'd be receiving one of the highest honors the crown could bestow. The ceremony would be conducted by His Majesty the King himself. My family thought I was barely scraping by. I confirmed my attendance and listed my 2 guests. Emma, my assistant of 12 years, and Dr. Sarah Chin, my head of surgical operations. Not family. They'd had their family-only Christmas. On December 30th, my phone started ringing at 6 a.m. I ignored the first 3 calls from my father. Then my mother. Then James. Then Charlotte. I finally answered Emma's under. "Have you seen the news?" "What news?" "The New Year's honors list was published this morning. You're trending on social media. The BBC is calling you Britain's medical hero." I opened my laptop. The London Gazette's official list was Commander of the Order of the British Empire, KB, for services to international humanitarian medicine. The press coverage was everywhere. The BBC ran a feature. "Surgeon who saved thousands in war zones receives knighthood." They'd interviewed colleagues, showed footage of our mobile hospitals, detailed my work in Syria, Yemen, South Sudan. The Guardian's headline read, "From Manchester to knighthood, the Dr. Britain forgot." The article detailed everything. My Oxford medical degree. 18 years of service. Over 15,000 successful surgeries in conflict zones. Training programs creating a network of trauma surgeons across the developing world. They'd interviewed the Foreign Secretary, humanitarian values. A Syrian refugee she was dying from shrapnel wounds. He saved her life. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. I finally answered my father's call. Alexander, why didn't you tell us you were being knighted? You never asked about my work, Dad. We knew you were doing medical charity, but a knighthood? The BBC is calling you one of Britain's most accomplished humanitarian doctors. I've been doing this for 18 years. Yes, but we didn't know the scope. The hospitals, the thousands of surgeries. Why didn't you say something? I tried. At Christmas 3 years ago, I mentioned establishing a surgical training program in Jordan. You asked if I'd ever consider a real job. At Charlotte's wedding, I talked about our Syria operation. Uncle Tom asked when I'd stop playing doctor. Silence. The investiture ceremony is January 2nd. I'm allowed 2 guests. I've already invited my assistant and my head of surgical operations. January 2nd? That's in 3 days. We're your family, we should be there. It's very exclusive, Dad. Only 2 guests permitted. I had to make difficult choices. But we're your parents. And Christmas Eve was family only. I counted 23 people. Cousin Richard was there. I've met him twice. But apparently there wasn't space for me. We thought you were busy. I was busy, saving lives. But you made space for distant cousins while excluding me from family-only Christmas. My mother's voice came through. Let me talk to him. There was fumbling, then Mum's shrill voice. Alexander, there must be some way we can attend. We're your parents. The palace has very strict protocols. 2 guests, no exceptions. I've made my selections. But the king will be there. This is historic for our family. My family will be there. Emma and Sarah. The people who actually supported my work. Alexander, please. I have to go. Lots of media interviews scheduled. I hung up. The next 2 days were chaos. Interview requests from every major outlet. The Times wanted a profile. Sky News requested a live interview. James sent a long text. Alex, I'm sorry about Christmas. We didn't understand what you'd accomplished. Can we talk? I didn't respond. Charlotte posted on Instagram, soon to be Sir Alexander. Always knew he was destined for greatness. #ProudSister #knighthood. She'd posted this after a dozen photos of the family-only brutal. Wasn't he not invited to your Christmas? Funny how you're proud now that he's famous. Someone had leaked the group chat messages. The family-only text, my family's dismissive responses, the photos of 23 people at their intimate gathering. It went viral. The Daily Mail ran, knighted doctor excluded from family Christmas, days before palace honor. They'd obtained screenshots and found old quotes from family friends saying I'd chosen charity over family success. My father called again. Alexander, these stories. The family looks terrible. You did exclude me. Can you make a statement? Tell the press it was a misunderstanding. Why would I lie? Because we're family. Family invites each other to Christmas, Dad. January 2nd arrived clear and cold. I dressed in my morning suit. Emma and Sarah met me at the palace gates. Ready, Sir Alexander? Emma grinned. The ceremony was extraordinary. When my name was called, I knelt before the king. He placed the sword on my shoulders. Arise, Sir Alexander. The king personally attached the Knight Commander insignia to his places on earth exemplifies the very best of British service. This nation is proud of you. The room applauded. After the ceremony, the Lord Chamberlain approached me. Sir Alexander, His Majesty wanted me to convey his personal appreciation. He's asked if you'd discuss your mobile hospital model with the Royal Foundation's humanitarian initiatives. I'd be honored. Excellent. He paused. I understand your family was unable to attend today? They weren't invited. I see. His expression suggested he'd read the news coverage. The king said it spoke well of your character that you chose to honor blood. That evening, the palace released official photos. Me kneeling before the king. Me with Emma and Sarah all smiling. The photos went viral immediately. My family's social media exploded. Charlotte, couldn't be more proud. James, my brilliant brother. My mother posted about always supporting my dreams. The group chat screenshots don't lie. He invited his assistant instead of his parents. That tells you everything. The next morning, my entire family showed up at my London flat. My parents, James, Charlotte, their spouses, the kids. They'd driven from Manchester overnight. I answered the door in my dressing gown, coffee in hand. Alexander. We need to talk. About what? The ceremony, the press coverage, this terrible misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding. You excluded me from Christmas. I excluded you from the investiture. Seems fair. My father stepped forward. Son, we made a mistake. We didn't realize the importance of your work. Dad, I've spent 18 years saving lives. I've operated in war zones. I've trained surgeons across 3 continents. When exactly did that become important? When the king knighted me. We see it now, James said quietly. We were wrong. About everything. You were embarrassed by me. I didn't fit the respectable careers, the proper jobs. I was the family disappointment. Charlotte was crying. We should have asked, should have visited, should have cared. Now the whole country knows what terrible family we are. You're not terrible. You're just not my family anymore. I started to close the door. Wait. The palace called us. They want to do a follow-up story, The Family Behind the Night. They asked if we'd participate. And you want my permission? The news coverage is destroying us. The dealership has had protesters. Charlotte's lost clients. People are calling us the worst family in Britain. That's not my problem. You could fix it. One statement saying we've always supported you. No. Please. We're being crucified. You crucified me for 18 years. Dismissed my work, excluded me from family events. Now you want me to lie to protect your reputation? We're your family. You owe us. I owe you nothing. I closed the door. The follow-up stories ran anyway. Sir Alexander's family excluded from ceremony after years of dismissing his work. The Telegraph interviewed former neighbors who remembered me talking about my medical work at family gatherings, only to be shut down. The Guardian found an old interview where I'd said, "My family doesn't really understand what I do. They're not involved in my work." That quote was everywhere. 6 months later, I spoke at the UN General Assembly about humanitarian medical response. My mobile hospital model became the international standard. My family sent flowers with a card, "We'll always be proud of you." I donated them to a hospital ward. A year after the knighthood, I received the Lasker Award, essentially the American Nobel Prize. The ceremony was in New York. I invited Emma and Sarah. My parents tried to attend. Security turned them away. They weren't on my guest list. The press covered that too, because some Christmas Eves show you exactly who your family is. And some palace ceremonies show you who they wish they'd been. My parents got their family-only Christmas. I got a family that actually showed up. And a knighthood they'll never stop regretting they missed. 5 years after the knighthood, I received a call from Downing Street. The Prime Minister wanted to meet about expanding the mobile hospital program nationally. I arrived with Emma and Sarah. My team, my real family. The meeting went well. Funding approved. National rollout scheduled. As we left, a photographer snapped our picture on the steps of number 10. That photo made the evening news. My mother called within the hour. "Alexander, we saw you at Downing Street. We had no idea you were working with the government now." "I've been working with the government for years, Mom. You never asked. Can we see you? Just for coffee? It's been 5 years. I'm very busy. Please. Your father isn't well. He wants to make things right before." "Before what?" "Before he dies. He had 18 years to make things right while he was healthy. He chose not to." He was crying. "We made terrible mistakes. We know that now. Everyone knows that. Can't you forgive us?" "I can forgive you, Mom. I did years ago. But forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. You showed me who you were. I believed you. What can we do? How can we fix this?" "You can't. Some things stay broken." I hung up and turned off my phone. That Christmas, Emma and Sarah came to my flat. We cooked dinner together, watched films, exchanged modest gifts. Sarah gave me a framed photo from our first mobile hospital in Syria. Our entire team covered in dust and blood and smiling like we'd won the lottery. "We saved 43 people that first week," she said. "Remember?" I remember thinking we were insane for trying. Best insanity I ever signed up for. Emma raised her glass. "To Sir Alexander, who built a family out of scraps and surgical gauze." We toasted. This was family, people who'd chosen me and whom I'd chosen back. Not blood, but something stronger. Loyalty. Phone buzzed with messages. "James, Merry Christmas, brother. We miss you. Charlotte. The kids ask about Uncle Alex. My mother. Your father's in hospital. Heart trouble. If you want to see him. I read them all. Felt nothing. Put the phone away. Everything okay? Emma asked. Everything's perfect. And it was. Because I'd learned the most important lesson. You don't owe your presence to people who didn't value it when they had it. You don't owe redemption to people who never apologized until there were consequences. You don't owe your future to people who dismissed your past. The king had been right all those years ago at Windsor Castle. That's the mark of true family. Not blood but loyalty. My family had their chance. They'd had thousands of chances over 18 years. They chose to take them only after the palace forced their hand, only after public shame made it necessary, only after my success became impossible to ignore. Too late. Some doors close permanently. Some Christmases are the last ones. Some families lose their chance and never get it back. I'd built a new family. In surgical tents and disaster zones, in late-night strategy sessions and impossible situations where only trust kept us alive. Emma, Sarah, and the hundreds of doctors and nurses who'd worked alongside me, they were my people. The ones who saw my worth before anyone handed me a medal. The ones who stayed. My phone buzzed again. My father. Son, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I turned off my phone completely. Outside, London glittered with Christmas lights. Inside, my chosen family laughed and ate and celebrated the only thing that mattered. Being together because we wanted to be, not because genetics demanded it. That was the real honor. Not the knighthood or the ceremonies or the medals in my drawer. But the people at my table who'd earned their seats. And my blood family would never understand that, because they'd never had to earn anything from me.